Welcome to A Heart for Home Education. My name is America, mother to three, homeschooling in a Charlotte Mason and classical way. Today we're going to be talking about my timetable for the 24-25 school year. So last school year, I talked about some of my issues with the CMEC timetable and how quickly it moved through all of the subjects, and how a more restful schedule to us is having a little bit more flexibility and not just moving through the day one thing right after another. So my goal in coming up with our timetable this year was to take a more restful approach, a scholé approach to our timetable, our living timetable. The timetable is really serving us, and we are not forcing ourselves to fit in these boxes when sometimes it's just not working. So I read Teaching from Rest. I read this before I started homeschooling, the summer before I started homeschooling my first child, so our first year of homeschooling, and I reread it again. And this is going to be one that I reread before each school year. The author is Sarah McKenzie, and her perspective is so wise and restful, and it is just exactly what I want for our homeschool. So she talks about giving yourself an extra at least 20 minutes per block of time that you are scheduling. So in our timetable, you'll see that I have an hour scheduled for arithmetic when I only have 2 formal students, and in each of their arithmetic lessons should only be about 20 minutes per the Charlotte Mason short lesson idea. So we do like to keep short lessons, but I love the idea of having extra time in case we need more time to work on what we're working on, or if we just need a little bit of a break, or just so we are not rushing around and constantly feeling behind our whole day. So if you have not read this, I highly recommend that you read this before your school year begins. It's a very thin book. Mine has been through some things. It's been to the pool with us and to the park and lots of other outings, but it is a fantastic read. She gives very practical advice and lots of wisdom, and it's just been very helpful to read before the school year to get my mindset in the right place. So this is our timetable. I will show you an in-depth look, an overview of the timetable, but I'm so pleased with the way that it's come together. Even with having 2 mornings out of the house each week, it looks very restful to me. It looks very doable. It looks sustainable. I don't think that we will be rushing from thing to thing to thing. There will be margin, there will be room to breathe, and that is exactly what I want in our timetable. So as a reminder, my kids are 8, almost 9, 6, almost 7, and my littlest will be 5 in just 2 weeks. So we are about to hit the 9, 7, 5 age range. Their grades are going into 3rd, going into 1st, and going into kindergarten-ish, Kinderleben. So I have 2 formal students and 1 kind of a half of a student. He's not doing a full array of lessons, and if he doesn't feel like doing them that day, then he won't be doing them. So this is mainly for my 2 formal students, and I think there will be enough margin in here to work with my Kinderleben student as he desires, but I didn't want to put in something that was a strict schedule that he needs to be doing this for 20 minutes every single day, because that's just not what Kinderleben is about for us. So the schedule is mainly geared toward my 2 older students, and I hope you find it inspirational and encouraging. One big change for us this year is that we won't be done with school by lunchtime. That's something that I've held on to for the first 3 years of homeschooling, but this year it's just not feasible. It will be more restful for us to take things slow and then to do 1 more hour after lunch instead of trying to rush and cram it all in before lunch. So you'll see all of this as I do the in-depth kind of walkthrough of the schedule. I hope that you find it encouraging and inspiring, but not like you have to go and do this same exact schedule, because every family is different. Our children's ages are probably different. The resources that we are covering are probably different. The days out of the house are probably different. So our families are just completely different, but I hope that you find some encouragement here. You don't have to be moving from subject to subject to subject and creating such a rigorous schedule that it's hard to keep up with, and just being late by 5 minutes to one subject throws off the rest of your day. That's not what I wanted. I wanted wiggle room, and I wanted time to rest and breathe, and for our timetable to serve us. With that, I will show you the zoomed in version of our timetable. So this is the restful timetable that I have prepared for this year. This is kind of the morning block, and then this is the afternoon hour. So I have it divided into sections from breakfast, which will hopefully be done and will be cleaned up and ready to start lessons at 8:45. And then this is the morning hour. And then from 10 to 11, this is kind of our family hour. And then this is the 11 to 12 hour. And then this will be lunch and chores and just kind of a break to play. And then around 2 or 3 will be our afternoon hour of school. So this is new for us. Afternoon school is new for us. Waking everyone up at the same time for school in the morning is new for us. But I've slowly started waking the kids up, and my goal is to have them waking up at about 7:50, doing their morning chores and coming down for breakfast at 8. Now, if you can see here, on Mondays, we will have our Scholé community, and that will include artist study, composer study, Latin, nature study, literature, poetry, and recitation. And then over here is our other out of the house drop-off co-op, and that does not start until 11. And that includes things like gymnastics, basketball, artistic pursuits, nature study. So these are our 2 days out of the house. This one I consider to be academically enriching. I don't feel that we are losing a school day. All of these studies are important in an embodied education, in a classical education. These are all important, so I don't feel that we are losing a day. These are definitely enrichment areas, but they, gymnastics and basketball, those are all physical activities. So really it's just rounding out our embodied education. But because we have 2 mornings out of the house this week, I wanted to have an afternoon hour. I think just with having 2.5 students, I needed an afternoon hour. I need to let go of the idea that school is going to be done by noon, because it's just not going to, if we are going to have a restful education, which is what I want. So the idea with this schedule is that it is there's a lot more room to breathe in it. So let's get started talking about each day. So Monday, because we are leaving, I think we'll be leaving at around 8 o'clock for this, which is early for us. We are just doing prayers and Bible this morning. And then we will have our Scholé community. So we will be home around noon, and I'm not sure if we'll be packing lunch or just waiting to have lunch here. And then our afternoon hour, I have literature or historical fiction read aloud, a geography documentary, and arithmetic. So that's what our Monday will look like. Scholé community, and then arithmetic and a reading, and then a geography documentary. For Tuesday, we have more time. This is a slow day. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday are slow home days. So our morning basket will be a little bit more full. We will do prayers and singing, our Old Testament Bible, and a missionary story. And then hopefully start our lessons at 8:45 or sooner. So we will be doing reading lessons, and while I'm working with one student, the other student will be doing copy work and phonics seat work and probably handwriting. And so that is our first hour. It should just be 20 minutes spent with each student doing their reading lessons individually. And so 2 students, that takes 40 minutes, but I've given us an extra 20 minutes so that we aren't rushing. I'm sure there will be a little snack break right here, and then this will be our family subjects. I'm not sure how well the squares are coming through because they're faint, but it is a grid, so I can tell that this is one block, and then we move into this block. So our family subject block, and then we will go into our liturgy of lessons, poetry and fable, ancient history, and a literature read. And then for the last 5 minutes, I want to end with something physical, like ending with Swedish drill or folk dancing. This liturgy of lessons is something that I came up with for this year. It's kind of like a morning menu, but we're not doing it first thing in the morning. So it is going to be sort of a morning menu type liturgy. I will do another video on the liturgy for lessons, so I can show you that and kind of show you what's in our morning basket. Then we will do just a little bit of poetry from an anthology or whatever poetry book we are reading at the time, and probably 2 or 3 fables. And then ancient history, this is sort of looping between a couple of books. So I'm pulling all of from the timetable, if it says ancient history, then I know to be looking at my ancient history loop term 1 and just kind of bouncing between those resources. I suppose you could say looping between those resources. So that's how I will know what reading we are doing. And then a literature read. So that's just our term novel. And then from 11 to 12, we will head back and do seat work arithmetic. And I've given us a full hour to do that. And then this is our lunch, chore, and play break. And we'll get back together around 2 or 3 and do our 1 science lesson for the week and work on grammar and spelling as well. Wednesday is another slower day, so we will start with prayer and singing, and we'll do Bible, Old Testament as well, and read a Trial and Triumph chapter. And then from 8:45 to 9:45, we will be doing reading lessons, copy work, and phonics seat work again here. And then for our family hour, we have our liturgy of lessons again, poetry and fable again, and ancient history loop again, and our literature read again. So these days are going to be very similar, but the ancient history reads, because I'm looping through so many resources, it won't feel redundant, and I don't think my kids will care either. And then ending with drill and folk dancing as well. Then from 11 to 12 is our arithmetic block again, and this will probably look like a 20-minute lesson with one child and a 20-minute lesson with another child, and having some room to breathe in there. The afternoon hour for Wednesday is going to be fairy tale and tea time and brush drawing. So we will prioritize the fairy tale and probably have tea together. For Thursday, my husband will be home, so he is going to do the New Testament lessons. So we'll do prayer and singing and New Testament Bible. And then because we have this out of house co-op for the rest of the day, we're just doing reading and arithmetic in the morning. And we don't have to leave for co-op until 10:30, so I think that's plenty of time for us to be able to accomplish reading and arithmetic. And then Friday is another home day, so we will do prayer and singing and New Testament again. So my husband works from home both of these days, so he can head up the Bible lesson those days. And then I will read more of our missionary story on Friday. Our 8:45 to 9:45 block, we will be doing reading lessons, copy work, and phonics seat work again. I like to just start these when the kids are fresh and ready to go, and I am refreshed and reset from the morning. So that's why I like to keep those in those blocks, in this morning first block, as much as I can. And then from 10 to 11, our family subjects for this day, we will do our liturgy of lessons again. And then this is our USA day, so we are doing the pledge and singing the national anthem. We are studying the US regions and doing some map work there. We are focusing on some US geography and reading some US historical fiction, as well as the Holling C. Holling book, Seabird or Men of the Mississippi. I'm not sure which one we're going to be doing yet. And Ponds and Streams by Ransom. So this is another full day. These will be looped, so these are not all happening every Friday, but I just wanted a list of them so it was easy to reference. And then ending the morning with arithmetic again. And then here's our lunch, chore, play outside break. And then the afternoon hour, we will finish up with some literature and some grammar and spelling. I'm really happy with the way this timetable has turned out. I think it is going to serve us well, but I also know and I have the freedom to change things around, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it feels to live out this timetable. I just wanted to share how it works with our course of study. This is kind of our official course of study that I worked on. So I have the area of study, we've got ancient history, this is our spine, and of course with each of these, they will be narrated and notebooked. And I can do a separate video explaining how we do narration and notebooking if you would like. I think there are already so many great resources about narration and notebooking, but just let me know if you would like to see how we do it. And then term 1, I have a goal of chapters 1 through 14 of Story of the World. Term 2, chapters 15 through 19, and term 3, chapters 30 through 42. So I don't pace these out week to week. I just have a goal at the end of the term to be done with chapter 14. And then I also have listed here the narrative book that we are using and the biography that we are using for each term. So for each term, we will be doing a story of the world, chapters, and then the narrative and a biography. And then for term 2, we have this narrative, and then I'm thinking about adding these two. I may or may not add these depending on how the year is going, and then a biography down here. And then moving on to literature. Our literature consists of term novels and narration, and reminding myself that all history and geography books will count as literature as well. And tales, so we are doing tales from many different countries and regions this year, so the tales count as literature too. But I mean, our whole school day is just packed with literature. I think these are what our term novels will be: Jungle Book, Wind in the Willows, Understood Betsy, and Little Duke. And then all terms we are doing fables and poetry daily, and then that once a week fairy tale time block we will be doing. I put Grimm's and Anderson, but whatever fairy tales we want to do, I will read a fairy tale once a week. And then it didn't all fit on one page, which is sad to me, but also we have tales from Shakespeare and the Shakespeare biography listed under literature as well. And then here's our American Studies. This is our USA Day. So we have This Country of Ours as our spine, and I may or may not drop this. I'm not sure. We just really enjoy historical fiction, and I found more historical fiction that I want to add. So I'm not sure if we need to do This Country of Ours. I know it's one that Ambleside Online recommends, and it's really well done and well written from what I've read, but I'm just not sure if we need it right now. So we may shift and focus just on historical fiction and Dallaire biography books. We also have American Tall Tales in there, Viking tales, some, I didn't put it on here, but some Native American tales I would love to add in. And for me, I just find these tales and this historical fiction a little bit more important than this history spine that is a little bit more analytical. And Seabird by Holling C. Holling. So we have a lot to work through on USA Day, but again, these are all on loops. You know, we're going to read one biography per term. So we won't be reading all of these every day, not even close. Then for scientific exploration, I have already, in pre-reading the Apologia Human Body that I had picked out for this year, it's just way too advanced for the ages of my children. I don't think that it is a good fit for us now that I've pre-read, which is why I buy early so that I can pre-read and see if it is a good fit or not. So I am dropping that one, and we will do some Apologia astronomy selections. We probably will not do all of them. And we will continue stargazing. We have stargazed this summer, just a handful of times. I did not anticipate or think about how late I would have to keep the kids up stargazing in the summer versus in the winter. It will be just right after dinner we can go out and stargaze. So it's been challenging to keep them up that late just because I am accustomed to putting them to bed and having a little bit of time to myself. So it's been a little bit more challenging than I expected, but the times that we have stargazed have just been delightful, and we've really enjoyed them. They've been super special. And then we will also be doing nature walks, of course, and Ponds and Stream by Ransom. And then I have a couple of supporting resources for astronomy, like Star Stories for Little Folks and Glow in the Dark Constellations. And then these are the extra resources that we may add in, but we are only doing science studies, astronomy, one day per week. So I'm not sure how much extra time we will have for that. And then for geography, we will talk about geography with every book that we read. We will pull out a map or the globe and look at the geography of it, but as a supporting spine to introduce some geographical concepts, we are using Home Geography by C.C. Long. And so we will be doing Story of the World map work with places that we talk about. The missionary story that we are reading will talk about geography, and the U.S. geography. And then we may or may not do some map drills. These are new additions to our homeschool as well, and they're kind of supporting the timetable. I made these templates of work checklists for each of my students, each of my formal students, and I plan to, in conjunction with the timetable, to write down their independent work and probably the page numbers. So, you know, copy work, I'll just write copy work, and I'll probably do this the night before. Phonics, math, and then, you know, grammar and spelling. So this is what I plan to give them so that some of these are more independent and they can just check them off as they go. So I plan to have these for each of the formal students to look at in the morning, and they might want to pace out their day differently than I've paced out their day, but as long as they're working on independent seat work when it's time to work on independent seat work, then I think I'll be okay with them mixing some things up. And also, especially with my older child, he may be at the stage where he wants to go out of order, but also getting the visual of, oh, if I work really hard for 30 minutes and cross off 4 things from my list and do them well, then I'll have more time for a break in this later block or something like that. So I thought it was time for them to take a little bit more ownership and have a little bit more independence when it comes to their independent seat work. So that's our timetable for the 24-25 homeschool year. I hope that you found it helpful and inspirational, and I hope you also go read Teaching from Rest by Sarah McKenzie. I hope you are having an amazing rest of your summer, or if you've already started, I hope it's going well, and that everybody's loving the resources that you've chosen, and I'm wishing you all a happy new school year. I'll see you in the next one.